CREWCast. 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 Give it up for the CREWCast!
We're rolling. We're rocking and rolling. Ooh, baby. Do you know we're on like episode 81 now? 81, mate.
We're doing really well, to be fair.
Grinding them. This is how much we're grinding. There is literally a house party going on downstairs right now, and we've taken time out of the actual party to go and do this, to come and do this.
If you hear random noises, you'll know what they are.
You shouldn't do because of the quality of it. Yeah, also, we've got new mic stands, which we didn't say anything about in the other
I don't think
episode.
No one cares that much. We care.
We care.
I
Look at
like
them.
this.
This means two things, though. One, less clutter so you can see the pure beauty that is me and Lou.
Yeah.
Also, it's now more transportable, which means our podcast is now able to be taken on the road. So you're going to be seeing, hopefully, some new locations every so often.
Oh, when we do that weekend away, we could do one then.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Not going to tell them what that weekend away is, are we?
No, we're not going to.
It involves some internal adventuring. Should we say that?
It makes it sound like you're going to look into my arse.
Why would you always demonetize us within 2 minutes of every single episode? Do you know every single time I upload something, I have to get a human to review our stuff.
Oh, really?
For them to be like, because the system goes, is that Lou's voice? Yeah, demonetized.
Yeah, they just hear me.
It just hears it, honestly. I swear to God it
Sworn
does.
straight away.
And then a human will read and we go, oh yeah, no, that's fine.
It's just how my brain works. Yeah. I don't think you wouldn't like me if it didn't, though.
No. That's very true. We cannot be manipulated by that freaking algorithm, and we shall not be.
No.
You can demonetize us. We'll just do it for free. We're doing it for free anyway.
Yeah.
What's going on? So, yes, we're in a sunny... Is it Saturday?
Saturday today.
Saturday, so you're hearing this one relatively close to the time than normal. We've been smashing them out on the Mondays, and we're trying to get the shorts out on Thursday or Friday, depending on when I think it's going to be more fitting. But yeah, we're rocking and rolling. Hope you've all had a good previous week.
Yeah.
We've been better this week?
Yeah, it's been better. Still been manic, very busy.
Yeah.
But had a nice win yesterday because I had a bit of a target in my head of what I wanted to get back to numbers wise before I would like
your numbers?
Yeah,
or gym numbers?
lifting wise. When I consider myself to be rehabilitated.
How is the old hippodoodle?
All good, yeah. So yesterday I box squatted 180 for 12, which was my target that I
180
thought.
kilos?
Yeah, for 12, which
Jesus
is
Christ.
it was a high box, so it wasn't.
You're good at that though. I've seen you do it.
Yeah. Which
you
is
get 4 plates on there.
Well, technically that was a PB as well because I've done it once before, but I did it with a belt.
This is beltless.
This is beltless.
Raw.
Yeah. So
Dogging raw.
Yeah, I wasn't meant to be doing that till I've just been kind of linear progression, adding a little bit of weight each session, and I wasn't meant to be doing it till end of next week, maybe the week after. But it was just session felt like I started my warm ups and everything was moving good, and I was like, you know what, I think I might have this in the tank today. And
after your scare the other week, you still felt good.
Yeah, so I felt fine because the thing is, it's like I'm pretty sure the discomfort that I'm getting is the scar tissue. It's not the fact that I'm re-injuring. Yeah, it's like it just feels aggravated and like a little bit. It's a really weird sensation. I've never had a feeling like it, to be honest. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint. But from doing a bit of researching, that's basically what a lot of people feel. This discomfort is the scar tissue that's built up, and then obviously because the scar tissue for me, and you'll have some as well. It's internal. It feels uncomfortable.
That's the thing. You see, everyone thinks scar tissue. They think external, don't they? So obviously, I've got a big scar from the bicep surgery I had. But I did a video literally 2 weeks ago with Mitch for the Worst Pain series where we broke down the scar tissue. Now he broke down the external scar tissue a little bit, but mainly he went up into the bicep and found scar tissue right in between the two heads of the bicep from where the injury had occurred.
Well, obviously the heads would have separated.
When it sheared, and he broke it down in there. It sucked, but afterwards now, this used to go purple. The scar used to go purple when I was training. Do you remember me showing you that? It used to go crazy, but it doesn't do so much anymore. It really has worked. And my biceps are now, after breaking down the scar tissue, functioning more evenly rep for rep.
Yeah.
So like the right one now used to just start to almost cramp pump really early on just because it was, obviously when it was trying to stretch out, it was being demobilized a little bit. So it was getting excess stress. And now they're more even, which is crazy.
You don't realise how much it holds you back as well, do you? I think like maybe I don't know, you've been training for a long time, so you've got a good idea of what you should be capable of.
Yeah.
But it still is hard to know, isn't it? Because, I don't know whether you felt the same, but, psychologically after an injury, you're almost like, I don't know, there's a bit of doubt, isn't there, in the back of your mind? I don't know whether it's gone for you yet, or...
I threw the jab right hook, which did my arm in the other week.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't thrown it.
Yeah.
But honestly...
Screaming while you're doing it.
Yeah, honestly, I was up there, and I was, like, looking around, I was like... I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I switched stances to southpaw because obviously that's why it happened in the first place because I'm not southpaw. And I just went, tish, tish.
Yeah.
And I winced as I did it. And I was like, oh, it's still attached.
Yeah.
It's still good. And I didn't risk it again. I did it one more time and then switched back to normal stance. But since then, I have, talking about training, I've been getting in my 4 days a week. I've been trying to get in earlier. If I haven't been able to get in earlier, I've made a point of anybody else who's been struggling, and this has been a good one, like Mitch from the Worst Pain series, he's been struggling to get in the gym. Ed, the owner of the gym, I've been messaging them going gym tonight, to get someone in with me. So I drag them with me and them, and I'm accountable.
You're
they're
accountable to them,
And so I went and trained with Mitch the other night, and that was really great fun.
Yeah.
But I'm getting my 9. I've been also, because of this mentality of not getting stuck again, I've been getting my 9 rounds of boxing in at the end of every session. Only doing one. I'm doing hit style, which is a good way actually if people want to try boxing. You do a minute round. Non-stop movement. Doesn't have to be power or crazy technique.
You can't fucking be throwing power punches for that long, can you? Round after round.
For a minute.
Oh, right,
it's hit training.
Right.
So you want to be throwing punches, and some of them should be good old power shots.
Yeah.
By the end of the minute, you want to be fucked.
Right.
Oh, damn it, demons. Oh, never mind. You want to be blotted. Yeah, you want to be knackered by the end of each minute. But the idea is that you learn. You should have a minute on, and then 45 seconds, and then next round. So the whole thing's 15 minutes, but Jesus. But I made Mitch do it. And by the end of it, he was like, "Hey, holy," hands dying. By the end of it, he was literally lying on the floor, dead. And he was like, "I need to do this more often. It's awesome." Yeah. And it is. But I've been ripping these right hands in and that, and I've got confidence in it now. My technique's back. I'm not. And I think honestly, you get hurt more when you worry and hesitate. Yeah. That's when you get hurt. Yeah. So you getting in and getting that weight done is a massive boundary breaker.
Yeah, it was for me. That was it. I knew weeks ago that I could have gone under the bar and probably done it, but
was your head in it?
My head wasn't ready for it, and I was like, to be honest, when I unracked it, my first rep is really hesitant because that's the heaviest that I've squatted in quite a while since tearing my hip flexor.
Did it feel heavy when you lifted it off?
No, didn't feel heavy.
And that's the difference between you and me. Every time I put anything on my weight, I feel that weight.
So that's one thing that I used to have all the time, and when I really worked on my breathing and bracing prior to actually getting under the bar, so I'm so tight that I have to wedge myself under the bar, so the bar will lift out of the rack, not from me getting underneath and pressing up. I'm literally like a wedge.
So you're compressing yourself in.
Yeah. So I'm bracing so hard, I have to literally force my hips through to get into position, and just my hips kind of going in lifts the bar out. So I'm super braced. Because the thing is, I always used to notice when I'd get in, be a bit loose, then just be like, right, okay, unrack the bar, now take it seriously. But it's already on my back, it's already sunk into me, and it's already intimidated me if I'm fucking hell, this feels really heavy as I'm walking it out. So I need to before I even get under the bar, I need to be braced and ready. Yeah. So if you unrack it and you're like, this doesn't feel too bad.
This is part and parcel of you bracing, even if you only had one plate aside on, isn't it? Yeah. So you're doing that same brace regardless of weight that you're picking up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people don't do.
Yeah, exactly. You have to, because you're practicing a movement. People think about exercises as just, you're training your muscles, but you're actually practicing a movement pattern, and it's the same as boxing. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't, you in theory, never want to practice bad technique, whether you're shadow boxing, hitting a bag, whether you're sparring, whatever the situation is. You always want to be, you're going to expect some deterioration with fatigue, but you want to always be aiming for executing that movement well. So whether it's the empty bar, whether it's a plate aside, whatever the fuck it is that you're doing and where you're going, you're still going to do the rep anyway, so you may as well treat it the same and get more practice in.
Well, it leads to something actually that I learned this week and heard this week, and I was like, that it really sunk in with me. And that is, if you think of anything like fighting, training, work even, if you're not drilling techniques, if you're not drilling over and over these repetitive things, which people don't like to do because it's boring, how do you ever expect to get better at something if what you need to do doesn't doesn't come to you automatically.
Yeah.
The only way you can progress is when the things that you need to know, you know so well that you don't need to think about them to do them.
Yeah.
And that comes into organization of your day. Like the thing of, I realize something that I've started, this is catch yourself doing this. I wake up early now. I'm doing it again. Alarm goes off. I wake up, but I don't get up. I stay in the bed. And then what that does is allow me to sit in this like pool of too much comfort in the morning of, like I'm sat up in the bed, but what am I doing? Like I'm wasting 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I need to, alarm goes off. The moment that alarm goes off, I need to swing my legs out of the bed and sit on the edge of the bed and be up.
Well, just put your set your phone alarm and then just slide it across the room. Just
Yeah, but the problem
you've
with that
got to, like,
is I use
get
it.
it.
I use it as a sleep thing as well. So I have a voice story going on at night.
Yeah.
So I have to monitor that volume because then
get a Bluetooth eye mask. That's what I've got. It's an eye mask. You literally connect it via Bluetooth. It's brilliant.
Said this.
You can get them on Amazon for like $10.
I'll have a look into it.
They're really good. And most of them, because you can set timers and stuff, can't you, on your books or stories. So it'll identify there's no more audio coming to it. So it'll power down after like 10 minutes. So you don't waste the
I
battery.
leave this thing running for like 8 to 10 hours.
You can do as well. Like my,
You can.
Yeah.
You just charge up.
It depends on the situation. If I'm sleeping somewhere not normal, then I will let it run longer because I know there's more likely that I'll be disturbed in the night or I won't sleep as normally or thoroughly.
Well, the one I use on Slumber, that they tell a story, but when the story stops, the binaural tones and all the other like subtle choices that you've put in keep running for the extended time you want. So that's what I like about it. But you're right. If you can put your alarm away and get up. But this thing of me sitting in the bed, I caught myself doing it this morning, and it's like I figured out what I do. It's little things. So here's another little thing. I caught myself when I'm doing work. So obviously when I'm editing and doing stuff, I have like export times of things, don't I? You've seen me do it. I have to export, and then there's not much else I can do in the program whilst it's exporting.
Yeah, you just got to leave it, haven't you?
Yeah, so I have to leave it. But what that does to me is it says, "Oh, you got to wait for that now. Go on eBay."
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, just go do something." You know, rather than me going, "Right, that's done. What else is on the list? Start getting on with that in another program," which I can do. My brain doesn't do that. The automatic thing is, "Oh, you chill for a bit,"
Yeah,
because you're waiting for the export.
Yeah, then you could go straight on to editing the thumbnail.
Oh, straight in, yeah. And I caught myself doing it today.
Yeah.
Caught myself doing it today. So I've got these two things that I need to build on. So it's one is alarm goes off, up out of bed within like a minute of that alarm going off. Like that's it. No sitting around in there. No, definitely no getting back in. Yeah. Do you know what I've realised I hate? Breakfast in bed. The idea of it is disgusting.
Yeah, I don't like that
and people
either,
think it's a treat. I'm like, I couldn't think of anything worse if you bring me food in bed. Like it makes me feel grim and unproductive.
Sloth.
Yeah. So there's that, and then obviously this workflow thing. Once you've got one thing going, and if you have to wait for anything, don't use that as an excuse to take a break because you're in a flow. And by taking a break, you're breaking your own flow. Like you're literally tripping yourself up. Yeah. And I did it today and caught myself and stopped. And it was way better. I was straight into something else, but it felt weird because I haven't done it enough.
Yeah.
If it feels weird and you know you should be doing it, you're definitely not doing it enough.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good point, really, because something that we do from a business point of view, but also people should be doing in their kind of everyday life, and it's something that we push coaching clients to do, is basically do like a bit of an audit of what you do. Like, you know, treat it as if it was a business, like run through everything, what's been working well for me, what hasn't been working well. And that's something that you could do like on a monthly basis of just like an audit of your life. How can I make myself more efficient?
Even bi-weekly.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's so many things that you could do, and especially when people are busier and juggling work and life and training and everything, it's so challenging. And no matter who you are, I don't give a shit what your situation is.
Sometimes there's not enough hours in the day.
Yeah,
you have to physically fit it in.
I was going to say, but there's always moments where you can take more back, isn't there? Like, there's half an hour where you sat in bed. There's
literally
bits and pieces here.
And I always miss that half an hour later on in the day. I'll always be sat at some point going, I wish I just had 30 more minutes. And you had it, idiot.
Yeah, that's it. You don't realise until it's gone.
And that's again, I've had loads of realizations this week after our chats and stuff. It's really good. I'm in a bit of a flow. I like being busy. Like if I'm busy, I'm better. If I'm too caught up, I get lazy.
Yeah.
But when I was realizing is going to the gym in the morning, you know how we said it's like a good setup for your day. Because it gets your energy up and it gets the blood flowing, gets that adrenaline going and wakes your brain up. That's all well and good. But what also happens is if you get to the gym in the morning, one, you normally have to really factor that in. So it spurs you to get up and get out because you've got to get it in before what else has got to go on in the day. But two is if you sit back and look at when you go to the gym in the evening, look at your mornings. I bet you waste about 45 minutes to an hour throughout the morning. that you could actually put in that gym slot. So people who are thinking like, I can't get to the gym in the morning. Really look at your mornings. I bet you freaking can fit a 45-minute session in. Yeah. And not only then would you get rid of that wasted part of the day that you tend to be slow at in the morning, but you also then free up that extra hour in the evening now.
And you've set yourself up better. You're actually going to have a more productive day in general.
So honestly,
just from how you feel.
I think that's the way to be.
Yeah,
it is, because you don't have that nagging feeling as well when you sat at the desk and it's like 6 o'clock. You think, I've still got to get to the gym. And in my head, that's not just 45 minutes. It's like a 20, 25-minute drive to the gym, then train, then 20, 25 minutes back, then got to eat, post, all this stuff. It ends up being a 3-hour affair, really. So if I can jam that into a smaller space in the morning and coincide it with like breakfast and stuff, other things that are already going on, and slot it in, way better.
Yeah, it is. I think that it's just being smart about your day, isn't it, really? And it's challenging because shit always changes and new things come up and stuff arises. But if you make it a habit to be mindful about like where you're leaving time and effort on the table, because like you said before, you'll get to the end of a really busy day and be like, fuck, I wish I had a little bit more time to do X, Y, Z thing. And if you're a night owl,
which is bad, you then will tend to stay up later to fill that space. You'll be like, well, I need to do it. Yeah. And then you get to bed later and then boom, what happens? Then you're back in that bad pattern.
Yeah, it is. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with being a night owl. Like, I think there are things that kind of, some people's circadian rhythms are just different. And, you're gonna be more productive later on in the day, less productive.
I think that's a trained thing though, because I used that excuse for a long time. Like my circadian rhythm definitely was out. Like as a kid at slumber parties, everyone else would be crashed out by like 11:30, 12 o'clock. I'm talking young. Yeah. I was easy up till 2 a.m. I used to be looking around like, what are you weirdos doing? Yeah. Slumber party, why are you all going to sleep? Let's watch another movie. And they're all like, ah.
Yeah, that was always me as well.
I was wide awake, like full of beans, could have gone for a run. Yeah. So there is definitely something about that genetic makeup, but since
it's learned to a certain degree as well, there's the genetic factor and
then habitual creation of it.
Factor, where you'll still be on a scale. You can make improvements. You're not ever going to be on the same level as somebody who's a super early riser and they've just always been that way.
Yeah, like my cousin.
Yeah, you'll probably never get there.
He's up at 5.
Yeah, some people
has been since he was 9, 10 years old. Always been up at that hour.
God, you'd have hated him as a kid, wouldn't you?
Oh, I could never beat him up. Worse at Christmas, because you never beat him up to try and like get to the presents first.
Yeah.
Imagine
being his parents.
Yeah, well, imagine his normal wake up was like 5:30. Yeah. Christmas wake up was 4 a.m. Like, it's just not a chance. I was waking up at like 6:30, being like, got him this time. Nope. He's already downstairs, built a full train track. Yeah. Santa's in a net court. But it's one of the that's the thing, is it is a constant battle because I have that night owl tendency. I could drill this great habit for like 6, 7, 8 weeks, even a year. I can lose the entire thing in 2 days. Yeah. And go back to being late within it snap back to it. It's like it's where it wants to be, but in not in an unproductive way. If it's not, like you're saying, if you wanted to be a night owl, you'd have to create that productivity around that time being there.
And also, unfortunately, the world doesn't run that way, does it? Like at the society that we're in, we kind of run on a 9 to 5 basis. So then any other interactions that you're having with other people, if you've got to talk to My Protein about XYZ thing that's going on, you can't message them at 11 o'clock at night and expect them to get back to you straight away. Then you'll be like, right, well, I guess I'm waiting until tomorrow to carry on with this thing.
Dan, my handler, will know about that. He gets messages at like 12:30 at night and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It's unfortunately society kind of it's a bit of a false idea that early risers are more productive. I think
it's only true if you are actively being productive.
Yeah. I think that like night owls do have it's not necessarily being a night owl, but it's obviously being a night owl would then mean that you have to stay in bed in the morning. So the people that are getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then when you wake up at 10 or whatever the fuck time, they'll be like, oh, fucking hell, I've been up 5 hours.
Day. What have you been doing?
Yeah, it doesn't matter that they're asleep at 8 o'clock at night, and then you're.
Yeah, that's what they don't tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you imagine being in bed by like 9 o'clock at night?
I know.
It doesn't compute to me that at all.
No, it really doesn't. Like 11 for me now, that's.
If I can get up to bed for 11 or half 11, I'm like high-fiving my own ego.
Because I do so many early mornings now, 11 feels fairly reasonable. But as soon as I don't have to, like last night, what time? I think it was probably about 12:30ish. I tried to go to bed, but I just wasn't tired.
Yeah.
And I always kind of fall back into that. Like, I've had years and years and years of being up at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, all kinds of times.
Yeah. You were on the shift pattern things, weren't you?
Yeah, but
12, 16-hour days.
My body still wants to go back to it, and I think, I don't know whether you should fight it too much. Like, if it's just you have to get up at whatever time.
Well,
to
here's
work,
the thing:
just do it.
You still have to get up the next day. That's what I've learned. So even if I stay up to 2 o'clock, and my alarm's set for 7:30, 8 o'clock, it's tough. I have to get up 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I'm trying to make my body learn. This is what happens. And so I make it if I do that, then I can get back into a schedule. If I allow 8 hours because I've gone to bed later and get up later, then there's no hope of me getting back in that schedule easily. I've got to have those 2 days of being knackered. And then by 10 and a half, 10, I'm like, the yawn comes. But here's the freaking caveat. If I ignore that tired feeling within that hour window, second wind.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. So there's this real thing of having to tear myself away from what I'm doing within that hour window to go to bed.
One thing I've had recently is where you start to feel tired. You're downstairs, it's an hour away from bed or whatever, starting to feel tired, and then they're struggling to stay awake watching whatever crap that's on TV.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, come on then, let's go to bed. Get upstairs, wide awake at that point. And I'm just like...
Yeah, what is that about?
Cool.
It's like the activity of getting up wakes you up.
Yeah.
Stupid body. Yeah. It was like, but sofa was comfy, bro.
Yeah. It was like, but so's
we
the bed.
We do it all the time.
Yeah.
After the podcast here, we'll be lying on the sofa.
Yeah.
We were watching I made you watch...
It was the worst program ever.
And I said before we were doing it, let's watch the worst film probably ever made, and it was Death Race. So you remember the original Death Race was Jason Statham in a jail. So this is I can't believe they even made more of it. So they made Death Race 2, which was technically a prequel to Death Race. So why they call it Death Race 2, I don't know. That's an error out the box. I was like, brilliant. This is going to be awesomely terrible. Yeah. It is dreadful. Yeah. And it's got Luke something in it they were singers. They were in the Blade movies. It's the brother. There were two brothers, and one went into movies, and one's does music directing.
I didn't know
Luke something he's called. I want to say it's Bros, but that's wrong because they were what 500 miles, and then they're not that Scottish. But they're definitely
doesn't matter.
Anyway, you'll know who I mean. He's in the Blade Trinity. He's in the third one. He was the weird vampire with the face that opened up.
Blade 2.
Is that Blade 2?
Yeah, where their faces open.
Yeah, and he turns others into this weird one. That same guy, it's him.
Okay.
So he's not bad, but he's also not a lead.
Yeah.
And he's the lead in this one. So then they made Death Race 2, which is a prequel to Death Race, so shouldn't it be called 2. And then they made another one, Death Race Inferno, which again is a prequel to the main film again. So there's two prequels.
But it's after the first.
But it's after the Death Race 2. So if you're not already confused, you are now.
It's in between 2 and 1.
You were like, well, you couldn't do the prequel well, and it was already awful. So to do a pre-prequel,
a sequel of the prequel. It's a sequel of the prequel.
It's a post-pre-prequel. And it is so bad. So bad. The best part of it is there's it's death matches where it starts off as a death match in one of them where you can kill your opponent or they can just submit. That's a loophole. That's a huge loop. Yeah. It's no longer a death match if you can tap out or at any point just go, I give in. Yeah. But it's not a death match anymore.
There was a few decent names in there though, wasn't there? Was it Ving Rhames was in there?
Who's that?
Massive black guy who's he was in.
He's in.
He's got a shaved head. Pulp Fiction with the.
Yes, yeah, but he's never really done anything good after Pulp Fiction.
To be fair, he's I like his character though. He's never a lead, but I always like his character. Got
progressively worse over the years. Now he's just I'll do it for money.
Probably, yeah.
But the second one was so bad that we had the herb, and we still and this my point of this entire tangent is that we were lying there watching this movie and it was about 1 a.m. And I remember looking at it going, this is truly the worst film ever. It's lived up to all the hype. And I looked over at you and you were I could tell you were choosing because it was so terrible to see how terrible it was going to be, or you could be instantly asleep.
Yeah.
And I remember I just looked over and you went, Lee, do you want to call it? And you just looked over and went, yeah. But we would have both stayed up for another hour watching that piece of crap. I still didn't finish watching it.
Yeah. If I'd have closed my eyes for more than a few seconds, I would have been asleep.
Gone. I could see it, but that was what I mean. You were fighting it to stay up.
Yeah.
And that's what we both do. And that's because, and honestly, I've stayed up to watch some crap in my time, but it's because I have this overwhelming need to see stuff to the end, even if it's terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to break that habit. I'm trying to just be like, and this is the weird thing I talk about. So for me to turn that movie off midway through, turn the TV off and walk away feels odd to me. It feels like I'm incomplete. It's the only way I can describe it.
I'm incomplete.
Yeah, it's like when you've left the house. And
That's
you feel,
FOMO,
you
isn't
feel,
it? That is.
You're leaving the house and you think, I've forgotten something.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it is, but you just feel like you've got that. It's that similar vein.
Yeah. It's kind of FOMO because you just like.
I think this is brain chemistry. I think it's where the ADHD comes in. That hyper focus thing of, that one factor. Focus on the one thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
on that
quite
front,
possibly.
I dosed up the can we? Do we get demonetized for saying these things? So the medication that is prescribed to people that begins with A, ends in Durel. So I used a prescription level 20 gremlins dose.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It kind of like gets me focused. Like I'm definitely on track and I flitter off less.
Yeah.
Like it's harder to pull me away from what I'm doing. Whereas normally when people walk in and say something, my concentration immediately banks onto what they're asking me and I'll try and fix that.
Yeah.
That's harder. But I literally don't feel any kind of like high or any kind of like rush or anything. I just feel like I'm more able to direct my focal gaze.
I don't think it helps a huge amount with that. I think again, it's more just like super caffeine. That's kind of how it feels for me. I still feel like I can get distracted nearly as easy.
Yeah,
but it's more the fact that it doesn't disappear out my focus.
You don't forget what you're doing.
Yeah. Like normally I will be on one thing and then I'll do something else. I've forgotten that it's dead to me now.
Yeah,
but like it'll still be there, like lingering.
Yeah.
It's like, hello, we're over here still, and then I kind of then can get back to it a little bit easier.
Mums in America are taking this stuff and they're like demolishing their whole home and building it back up in a day, and they're stealing their kids' medication and stuff. What it shows me is there is definitely something wrong with the way my brain fires, because to take a medical level and to just feel normal shows, okay, I need something. So I'm actually going to go to my GP.
But there's multiple different types of treatment for it as well, and medication's not always the main.
If my brain functioned on a normal level, that would send me hyper. There's no two ways about it. Most people would be like, woo. So it's telling me, okay, you're just firing normal now with this stuff rotating through you. Because it's a 4 hour, it tends to last about 4 hours. And I will say, as it starts to get past the third hour, I do feel a wane in my focus ability.
Yeah, same.
So it is doing, so it's definitely helping and aiding me. And I'm doing it like we said. I'm only taking it before I start 30 minutes before I start a task.
Yeah.
And then
start the task.
Start the task, and then
One of the things that it should do as well, though, because same with because it is an amphetamine, same as all amphetamines, it actually increases the plasticity of the brain. So you actually are able to in theory, if you were doing something to try and form new habits, you would build those kind of pathways in the brain faster. That kind of.
Well, that's why that stuff is the better choice than the one we get in Britain, because the one we give doesn't help with brain elasticity as much as that one, because it's only a single salt variation, whereas that one's a 4 salt one, isn't it? They call it salts. I think it's a salt.
Yeah, they're amphetamine salts. I think it's 2. There's 2.
No, it's definitely 4.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. I'll show you them afterwards.
Okay, yeah. I don't know the.
Yeah, they're 1.25 in a 5 level each.
But again, there's multiple different ones, and some people generally get a better response. It said Adderall, whatever, I've said it now. That's the one that most people tend to get the best results from, but it doesn't mean that it wouldn't be better for you to try something different.
Adderall, try different treatments.
Yeah, Adderall's like the common one that most people would get the best possible results.
Here's what's going to be interesting. I'm going to go to my GP. I'm going to tell him everything.
Yeah.
And because this happened to me multiple times,
he'll be like, "Stop taking drugs."
They'll be like, "What? You did what, sir?"
Yeah.
I remember when I went to the GP once with broken ribs, and I was still sparring, fighting. I remember walking in, And I was like, I've got this, I think I've broke my rib or something. And what I'd done is dislodged the cartilage and cracked the rib, but it fractured it, so it wasn't a full break. And I said to him, I remember saying, so I've been sparring, and I just wanted, he went, what? I said, he said, sparring? He went, what? Do you mean like a spar centre? Right? No, like fight sparring. Went,
going to a spar.
Yeah, he was like,
that's what you call it, right?
His brain couldn't, he's like, he definitely doesn't mean what I think he means.
Yeah.
So, you've been to a spar? No, sparring. Like, I've not been allowed to get kicked or punched in that part of my body. And he was like, okay. I was like, all I want to know, he looked really worried. I went, I know what you think I said, but all I want to know is, can that like go off anywhere or puncture anything and be bad? He went, no, but please stop. And I was like, yeah, not gonna, but thanks for that. That's all I needed to know. Like, as long as I know it's not going to puncture my lung or do something weird or snap off, I'm cool. What was my point? Tangents. Oh yeah. So I'm going to go to the GP. I'm going to tell him everything. And then I'm going to see what he offers me back, and I'll report back.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I know that there are some specialists, because I don't think a GP would just refer you to get...
I think that's probably what they're going to do.
I can put you in touch with somebody if you want to actually get a proper diagnosis.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Interesting.
I've got some details on that.
Do a YouTube video on it. That'd be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, unfortunately, it's not that well looked into in the UK.
I know, why is that?
I don't know. Not really sure.
I think it'll get bigger now, because have you seen the amount of mental health stuff that's going on at the moment? It's insane. Like, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Don't I have to keep touching things?
You do.
I do, don't I?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what to do with my hands.
Just hold them like this. Just hold them like this the whole time.
If you ain't chewing Big Red...
I wanted to talk about was me and Lex both watched what's it called?
Crap, yeah.
House
we
of
can
the
finish
Dragon.
on this.
Yeah.
Sweet. What's it called?
Is it House of the Dragon?
Yeah, do you know when you told me that it was on and we should watch it? Do you know what I went? I was like, Lord of the Rings. And I went straight onto Prime.
Yeah.
I was like, Lou's wrong. It's not out yet.
Yeah.
Completely different show.
Yeah, no, that's not out. Well, that's called The Rings of Power, isn't it?
Rings of Power. It's actually out next month, I think.
Is it next month?
It's soon, anyway, yeah.
But yeah,
next
the
month.
Game of Thrones prequel.
Yeah. So it's House of the Dragon?
House of the Dragon,
Or
I think?
House of Dragons?
House of Dragons or House of the...
It's dangerously close to Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
And there's no Bruce Lee
It
in
makes me... It feels oriental to me. It does. But anyway.
Yeah. Wow.
Not the series, but...
If you haven't seen it...
So the second episode will have come out by the time everyone's listening to this. So we've only seen the first episode because it hasn't released the second
It is
yet.
set 174 years prior to the Game of Thrones. Maybe 200 years.
Well, it starts off about 170, but there's time jumps already.
Jump?
There's already been a time jump.
But do you think it's going to jump all the way up?
Apparently, over the first 6 episodes, it jumps like 20-something years.
It's not a lot in 176 years.
No, it doesn't. So this, if anyone's read the books, this story's already complete. Like you could go and find out what it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, unlike the other series, because we didn't have an end book.
Yeah.
And that's why the last season of Game of Thrones was a pile of trash.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think so. It actually makes way more sense for a series to be made of it, because instead of, with Game of Thrones, there was the story running all the way through, obviously, that was not finished, and it was quite an in-depth story. Whereas how this book's written, it's actually more of like an overview. It covers quite a lot of years. It's more of like a brief overview of like the history of the Targaryens. So it's more broad sweeps. So it's not like this one bit of dialogue was in the book, so we need this dialogue in the film. There's no dialogue at all. All of the dialogue in this has been inserted in to fit around the overarching story. So it's
no
more
dialogue at all.
No, because the book I think is written as like basically a history book talking about it.
Oh, it. Okay.
And it's from like 2 different people's perspective that sometimes contradict each other. So this apparently is according to George R.R. Martin now, this is him saying, because before you never knew whether this one person was telling the truth or the other, because you'd hear like 2 sides of a story. Whereas this is like, okay, this is the definitive truth of what actually happened.
Oh, so if you've read it, you're still going to get the definitive now, so it's a different vein.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it.
Well, let's talk about that, yeah. So it's 176 years prior, so we are 3 or 4 generations backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So from
Daenerys.
So we're looking at her great-great-grandmother, aren't we, when we're in this, I think?
Something like
that,
I don't know.
It starts hard and fast.
Yeah.
It is, honestly, refreshing. Because after Game of Thrones, I didn't expect too much. I'm like, spin-off. Here we go. Boom, does it grip you?
Yeah.
I forgot I'd only watched 1 episode by the time it finished.
It did, yeah. I think first episodes are always challenging, aren't they? Because they've got to introduce loads of characters and this and the other. So like 90% of series, even if they're brilliant, their first episode or even sometimes their first few is a bit, it's all right. They kind of they get you going. It's
can be a
really
bit fluffy, can't they?
Yeah, because they've got to do so much work straight away. But I think they did a really good job of that.
Right.
Like they introduced lots of new characters as well as progressing the story quite quickly.
Engaging throughout. I don't really have any qualms. There's a lot of children actors in it, and they're all likable, as in terms of like they don't irritate you on the screen. They don't have like those irritating child actor habits where they either try to be too old or too. They're just they react well in the scenes and they're believable.
Yeah.
In terms of the adult actors in it, should we say?
Yeah.
There are a few choices of actors in there where you're like, I wonder why they thought of that guy for that role, but they work.
Yeah.
Like this one is I don't know the guy's name, but he's basically the skeletal-looking Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, Matt Smith.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Matt Smith. So, yeah, I wouldn't have. At first, I was like, is he going to be good in this role? Because he's meant to be.
Well, he's a bit devious.
Yeah, he's meant to be loved and hated, like by a lot of people. He does some real horrible shit straight away, and they fully
embrace it.
We're going to introduce you to this character, and we're going to show you how much of an asshole he can be within the first few minutes. And by asshole, I mean severe bull chopping action.
Oh, but then you're also like, but they were criminals. Yeah. So it's like, whoo. And he's setting a tone for the ruling of the city. So you are torn. And it is the only thing I've got a gripe with him about is his accent. It's a little whiny and British.
Yeah, he doesn't sound intimidating.
No,
he doesn't sound intimidating.
If he started on you in those times, no matter what, you'd think,
if he had a helmet
I'm trouncing this dude.
Yeah.
I'm trouncing. So that was my only thing with him. He didn't make an effort to change that British high whiny voice. I thought he could have done a little something there.
I think maybe it's actually going to work quite nice because sometimes having something that's not, I don't know, if he'd have gone for
it's going to be distinctive,
a Batman, the Dark Knight style, just like, where are they? It's him, isn't it? And in reality, someone's tone has no bearing on how evil they are as a person.
It's just the Britishness of it. Like, you hear it's like it's a standalone compared to everybody else. But honestly, I will say by the end of it, I'd really forgotten about it.
Yeah,
because he is a great character.
Yeah, and there's a lot of. Obviously, George R.R. Martin's famous for liking his grey characters. Like, he doesn't like to make somebody good or evil. Yeah. They're all going to be good and evil, but the best characters are the ones that are, like, morally kind of ambiguous, because that's really what most people are. Yeah, like, we have our morals, but then also there's certain situations where we're going to make...
You're going to be selfish.
Yeah, you're going to do things.
Yeah.
And, so you kind of, even though he definitely leans towards maybe being a bit nasty, he shows a lot of, like, he looks after his niece, and, like, there's definitely some care, and he kind of wants his big brother to appreciate him, and to, like, but he's always been a troublemaker, so he kind of feels cast out. Yeah. So there's, like, a lot to it, and the same with Paddy Constantine, the king. Yeah. I thought
it doesn't in your head, if you would just look him up, doesn't immediately scream, oh, Game of Thrones king.
Well, he's one of the Andys in fucking Hot Fuzz. If you don't know who he is, or he's Wait, what was he the other day that we watched? Dead Man's Shoes.
What was that one?
Dead Man's Shoes. Remember where the brother? I'm not going to say that. If you haven't seen it, where the brother's dead, you find out at the end. He's come back from the army. His brother was getting bullied.
Why can't I remember this?
We literally watched this like 2 months ago.
Oh, it was 2 months ago. Oh, all right. I thought you meant like it was in the last.
It was weeks. It was when your mum was here.
Was it good?
I can't believe you can't remember it. It's fucking brilliant.
I remember it immediately when I see a clip of it.
Yeah. Anyway, doesn't matter. So anyway, he's one of the leads in it.
Yeah, but he is not what you think he's going to be.
No.
Again, which is a really great way. See, they lead you into these characters, and you think they're one way, and then partway through this one, like I think it's just over an hour-long episode, they're switching them back and forth. So
some of the emotion as well that he like.
Can we just say as well a little bit of
not
brutal. So much a spoiler, but just a warning. If you do have anybody that has gone through anything traumatic to do with like childbirth or anything like that, and especially if it's recent, just please be aware that this episode has a heavy feature on a kind of a negative outcome on that level. You'll know what we mean once you watch it.
It is.
It's rough.
Like that. Like I'm not
only caveat.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have no like connection to that at all. Yeah. But even me watching that, I was like, "Geez, this."
Which is the perfect reaction they want. Yeah. Like it's supposed to be this horrible moment, and and thing going on.
Yeah.
If you want, we're not going to do any spoilers, but there is a real build to the whole thing, and then it's just excruciating with the whole decision making that goes on, and the what's the word? Not comeuppance. What's the what's the bloody word?
I don't know.
Oh, English leaves my body sometimes. The consequences.
Yeah.
The consequences of choices. That's the word. Consequences. And all the way through, it's consequences of choices that people are doing. And you're on these journeys with them, and the action scenes.
Yeah.
They're back to ground zero.
Yeah, the one-on-one combat was really nice.
Yeah.
Brutal, well choreographed.
Realistic.
Yeah, realistic. Yeah,
Yeah.
it felt pretty fucking raw, didn't it?
Yeah.
It was good. I don't know. Yeah, overall, I was really.
And there's
really
already
pleased with
so much gameplaying going on. Already from in episode 1, there's all these little just things being laid out.
You know the Hightower guy, who's the King's Hand.
Yeah.
I didn't realise he was in as an actor because I've seen him in
You know,
some
it is-
stuff.
it's,
Eyeball, he's
Eyeball Paul. Yeah.
Eyeball Paul, but he's also Luna Lovejoy's dad in the Harry Potters
He's
as well.
in Notting Hill, is it?
Yeah. So he's in it, and
He's the
again,
guy who gets out in front of the paparazzi with his pants.
yeah.
He's
But he
hilarious.
plays like he was playing
He's
like a
normally
really
a
good
comedy
role.
actor, but he has done a few serious roles like now for the last, I'd say the last 5 or 10 years he's been going more
serious.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it, and I think the thing that I'm most excited for is like
He was in Spider-Man. He was the lizard doctor in the Spider-Man with Garfield. Is it Simon Garfield?
I thought you meant Garfield the cat. I was like, what fucking Spider-Man have you been watching?
You know when they have the share of lasagna and they hate a Monday. Yeah, he's the doctor. He's the doctor who doesn't have the arm, and he's trying to use the lizard genetics and ends up turning himself into the big mutant.
You know, I can't
and then
really
they're up on
remember
the tower having the fight, and he's trying to spray the gas over the whole city.
Yeah, I don't really remember that was him, but
Yeah, that's him. Same guy.
fair enough. But anyway, the bit that I'm most excited for is the fact that there's so few series that get everybody hyped, and like Game of Thrones, especially especially towards the middle.
Yeah.
I think like first 1 or 2 seasons, people were still like they'd heard about it, but they weren't all watching it. By like season 3, maybe 4, everyone believed the hype.
I came
and
in after 3.
Yeah, they caught up
Yeah.
with it, and it kind of hadn't tapered off at that point until kind of like 7 and 8 was where it did start to drop off a little bit. But like everyone was like really excited for when the new seasons came out. Everybody was watching it. Everything was
Even
almost Game of
social
Thrones.
media.
Yeah,
was
well, we did the fucking.
Oh, it was all over.
We did the
we built an
the
Iron
throne.
Yeah.
Oh, can you find that photo and show everyone if they're like?
Yeah, I'll put it up now.
Yeah.
There you go.
You
that
do
was
not
made-
know the pain
That took hours.
and the nearly broken
I
bones.
think there was like 4. How much weight was there in that thing?
There was a shitload.
Yeah.
If you look at like just holding all those barbells up in the background, every barbell's 20 kilos.
Yeah.
There was like I don't know how many, but there's like 15.
Took 8 to 10. There's a whole video on it. I'll link the YouTube video for the build in the description as well. There's
about
a little bit of a weird sound fuck up in the first few minutes of it. Like for some reason the sound jumps, but it clears up after like 30 seconds.
Yeah. So anyway, so everything was. I remember Steve Cook was at the gym like not long after that, and he's like the first time he'd ever been to BCB, and then he was like so into Game of Thrones at the time, and he was like, "Oh, this is such a Game of Thrones gym," and then like he made a video about it, but it was like had weird like Game of Thrones like throwbacks into it throughout the whole thing. It just literally took over everywhere. It was just on everyone's mind, and there's so few series that do that everyone's on board with it.
Yeah.
And I really would like it if
This did the same.
yeah, House of the Dragon or whatever it is.
Well, it's definitely
helps if you remember the name, obviously. But
Yeah, enter the house of the dragon with Bruce. That's I think honestly, if it carries on like this, they've set the standard. It's high.
Yeah.
So if they can keep this rolling, like fair play. But they are going to have to now start digging us into characters and start having us pick sides and follow along with because we had that moment obviously where you got Jason Momoa coming in the original Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Obviously it's not in this.
I was going to say. Is it?
Yeah, and then they kill him off.
Yeah.
And you're like, what just happened? Like, what? I remember stopping watching for a good few months after that because I was like, well, he was the coolest guy. I was all with him. I wanted him to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's out, so I'm out. And then I came back in, obviously. But that was literally how dedicated I was to, like...
Jason
that,
Momoa.
I want a barbarian winning this thing.
I was
like,
gutted when he went as well.
I couldn't believe... I was like, he's definitely coming back. He's definitely coming back. And then when they brought him back as this, just... vessel of nothing.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, they've really, really, really killed him. And even towards season 6, I was still like, maybe Because they kept bringing him up every so often. But nah.
Yeah, I think that's it though as well. That's the brutality of it, and because that's real life, isn't it? You just you're going through, and then before you know it, someone's gone, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think a lot of Game of Thrones was known for being super brutal, and all the characters that you're really rooting for go. But I think that's what kept everyone on the edge of their seats. They were like,
it was a massive
there was
talking
nobody
point.
who was
No
safe.
one's safe. No one's safe.
I think obviously seeing that again, it kind of spoils it in terms of we know what happens in the end, but you can still enjoy the ride, can't you? Do you know what I mean? I think that's what, like, you can kind of...
And like you said, because there's been a duality of tales told here, even if you read the book, you're not going to know which way they're going to go with it.
Yeah.
And they might throw a twist in, you don't know.
Yeah.
They might throw some additional stuff in that wasn't in there.
There is one thing which I thought was really weird, and we'll wrap it up at this because we're running out of time now. But did you notice one of the last scenes where Paddy Constantine's character was talking to his daughter, and he did that little speech right at the very end, and he gave her that thing. Yeah. So that's a direct tie-in to the very end of Game of Thrones, the season where everybody hated it. And I'm like, why are you connecting this to that thing?
Yeah,
like, out of all the things that you want to like draw attention to, not the season that everyone fucking hated.
But maybe because it has to be. Just had to be in there. They ruined that last season, but there's still information in there that is going to be important now.
Because George R.R. Martin said that, like, no, that's not how Game of Thrones ends in the books. So if he ever gets those finished, that's not going to be the same way it ends.
Well, there'll be a whole fan upgrade. Do you know what it'll be? It'll be a Schneider moment.
Yeah.
A Zack Schneider re-release movie. They will hopefully redo the whole goddamn thing.
It'd be amazing if they did.
It needs fixing.
I don't think they're going to, but it'd be amazing if they did.
I think to be able to drag everyone back in now would be too much.
And apparently as well, there is loads of things that HBO have got like planned out. They were like, there's a potential thing with Kit Harington where they're like a Jon Snow spin-off and some anime stuff, like fleshing out the rest of the universe, because it's a massive, like, in-depth world. And they're basically, HBO's waiting to see how this does, and then if it does well, they'll greenlight it, and then they'll like start popping out.
Basically, getting a universe.
Pretty much.
Game of Thrones universe,
which would be potentially cool. All right. Yeah,
it's good because we're missing. We've got no Viking things on at the moment. You know, the Kingdom with Uhtred is blasted that already in like 2 days when they release a new season, and they take forever to film new ones. We haven't got any Witcher at the moment. No. There's nothing really in
Did you watch the anime Witcher thing? The
anime one?
Yeah, it's like something Wolf or something. It was actually quite good. I can't remember what it's called now.
Do you know what's really good? Tangent to finish on. Yeah. The new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie that's out on Netflix.
Oh, really? I've not seen it.
It's a bit cool.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm leaving you with. One, go watch House of Dragons if you're not watching already, and if you are watching it, leave us a comment if you can.
I'd love it if
where
this is the wrong name.
And then what?
If we've been calling it the wrong thing.
Can you Google it just so we can tell people
House
the
of the
right stuff?
I don't know.
Bruce Lee's House of Dragons. Go on. Are we right?
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch 100%. 100% at this point. Get in on it. Get in on ground level. Let's get a bit hyped about it.
It's on Now TV, right?
And then once you finish that, switch straight over to Netflix and watch the new cartoon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and tell me you secretly haven't enjoyed it by you get to the end of it. It's kind of dark.
Really?
Starts off kind of dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's PG. And I mean, you can see how it is PG because it's cartoon but still the undertone of it is,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
You're gonna,
I'll watch it tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it tonight.
You'll like it.
How long is it?
It's like 50 minutes or something. It's not like too long.
There you go. Well, yeah.
There you go. Well, we're gonna go back to the party.
Yeah.
Hope you're starting to week well.
Everybody.
Put into practice those things we've said though. The bed thing, the lack of distraction when one thing's kind of almost finished, but you need to wait for something. Don't just like take a break. Go, keep that flow, keep that work flow going, because this is what's important. Remove the distractions.
You could just be a lazy bastard.
Or come back and tell us, you know what, guys, screw you. I'm going to eat chips in my pants.
Yeah. In bed.
In bed. Right. Don't do that. Have a great week. Leave behind, as always, what was bad. Just let that stuff go. Like the water behind a boat. It doesn't push forward. You leave it behind. And make some of that own energy by getting outside in the morning. Sunshine in the morning. Music. No TV. No social media. Just for 30 minutes. Then in the evening, if you can, get back out under that sun going down, and that's going to help set that circadian rhythm and hopefully get you back in with this mindset as well. Other than that, I think we're out.
Yeah. Toodle pip.
Lovely. Toodle pip.